what each organization has in common, PWL and NAMW. They're both, first of all, they're both wonderful resources for writers. And they are also founded by amazing visionary women. They're also, in structure, they're somewhat similar, but also a little different. They're membership organizations, but you can also take advantage of their offerings without being a member. They also offer an opportunity for community among writers and connection. And they both offer workshops online, on Zoom. So those are the things that they have in common. And where they differ, I would say the main difference is that, as you pointed out, NAMW is genre specific. So it's National Association of Memoir Writers. Obviously, it's for memoir writers. So it's been established for some time. I think it's been around at least 20 years, but I could be wrong. So some of the things that are a little different are that whereas NAMW is specific to a genre, like I said, PWL is cross-genre. So you could be writing a screenplay or a memoir or poetry, a whole variety of types of writing, and you can probably find someone to help you with that. Mm-hmm. So that's a difference. I'd say that also the biggest difference really to me is that PWL to me is like a drop-in cyber co-working space. You can open it up anytime and look and see if there's something available that you might be interested in, and jump online and get with your peers. So it's very peer-to-peer. And I think that PWL is probably more, because it has to be, very attuned to a variety of writers' needs. So you really have your finger on the pulse. And whereas NAMW, and this is, again, they're complementary, NAMW is more, probably a little bit more traditional in its structure. It's more established, but it's always growing and offering new things. Whereas PWL has the feel to me of a startup where they're still experimenting and inviting interaction and peer review. So I think so it's more experimental, I would say. So the way I use them both is I use NAMW for longer workshops, and they also partner with a publisher. So for a memoir writer who's looking to publish, now you have both sides of the equation. You have the workshops and the guidance and consulting and resources on one side, and then you have a connection to a hybrid publisher, should you want to go that direction, and they partner in doing workshops. So but it's a longer commitment. It's not as instantaneous. So when I really want to get some work done, that's when I hop on PWL, and then I can really, get down to business. So those are the main differences and likenesses and the complementary aspects that I see. Yeah, it feels like a co-working space in that I can hop on any one of a number of offerings. Say I need help in marketing, I just sign up for that particular workshop on that day, and I'm going to meet, not only will I meet an expert host, but I'm going to meet other people as well. So it's as if I'm walking into a co-working space and we're just kind of hanging out for an hour, but it's structured at the same time so that we don't just hang out, we actually get some work done. So I really enjoy how the workshops that I've taken anyway, like Words Count, which is a wonderful name. And the platform building, you know, it's very structured in the sense that we check in and then we get to work, and it's timed. So we have half an hour, and then we check back in, and then we get back on. And it's amazing what I can accomplish in that half hour. So that is what I go, really, it's that productivity factor that I go to PWL for. PWL is really work session oriented, and NAMW is more for information. They can, for example, I can, like I said, I can take a longer term workshop with them. I just finished a 6-week intensive. And they do, during that intensive, they did have some, like half an hour of writing, but it wasn't quite the same as PWL. So I got some done and I learned a lot, but it's much more, it's lecture and then a writing time. So that's probably a different experience. And maybe there are some workshops with PWL that are like that, but I haven't experienced them. When it comes to interaction, PWL has much more interaction. I mean, NAMW really isn't set up to provide that. It's, you know, if you take a workshop with NAMW, you will get some interaction. For example, the recent one that I just took had Tuesdays were a lecture and writing opportunity. And then Fridays, we all got a chance to read for 2 minutes, to read our whatever we had written or wanted to share. And that was wonderful. I think that everybody really enjoyed that interaction because you got to hear other people's styles and stories and get a flavor of what they were working on. And, you know, so that was wonderful. So I think that the interactive, that tells me the interactive piece is really important. And that's actually, it's one thing that I love about PWL, that it is so interactive. And I get to connect with people who might be doing something very different than I am, but we'll have something to offer. And so there's a lot of cross-pollination in the interactivity with PWL. It's much more, there's a feeling of peer-to-peer with PWL that I don't get anywhere else. So, you know, there are people who are experts, but they're also learners. There's kind of this vibe of beginner's mind, that we're all in this together and we all learn from each other and we all go at our own pace, and we can all be resources for each other. So you don't have to be an accomplished, you know, it's great for both beginners and experienced writers, because there's always more to learn. And of course, the same is true with any other professional organization, but it's that interactivity and cross-pollination that I can get an instant hit of that every time I take a workshop with PWL. Probably also the other thing is accountability. So I sign up and then I show up and then I get my work done. Well, you know, I could only speak to my own experience in terms of building long-term friendships and connections. And I say that because I have been a member of NAMW for a long time, and I was fortunate enough to come into the organization at a time when the founder, Linda Joy Myers, was offering her own hands-on workshops. And so that's how I wrote my first book. And it was a wonderful experience to work with other writers, and it was pre-Zoom. So it was all audio. So we didn't actually see each other, but we got to know each other's stories incredibly deeply. So for example, we would write a piece and submit it to each other and return critiques to each other. It was very supportive and non-judgmental. And then we would meet the following week, and each of us would read a little bit, and then we would offer feedback. So that was, so I would say in that sense, it wasn't so much friendships, but what's the word? A sense of, oops, let me turn that off. a camaraderie, perhaps. And although one interesting thing happened, that because we'd gotten to know each other, we were writing memoirs, we'd gotten to know each other's childhood stories very, very well. And at one point, we all met at a conference as the adults that we are now. And it was a little bizarre because we didn't really know each other as the people we are now. So I don't know if that's relevant. Whereas with PWL, I feel like I'm building an online community of friends, and many of us haven't met. So we can't really speak to that, but I think, we're in really different eras now. So NAMW doesn't offer that type of workshop anymore, but they offer different things. So that's where I find that working with PWL kind of fills that space that they vacated, because it was very labor intensive, I think, to offer that. But with PWL, you have this whole variety of people. So you're not the only one running the show. I mean, but you have, or offering the services, you have a whole variety of experts for people to turn to. And so I think that works really well, actually. Immediate accessibility and the interaction of PWL is really helpful. And then also there's a variety of opportunities if you need marketing expertise or you need social media help, or there are a variety of people you could work with as a consultant. So it's more spread out. There's more variety. That's really about the only big difference, I would say. PWL is very collaborative. I would say that's probably a big difference.